Welcome back. Our next guest is a Bronx native, longtime public servant, and an advocate for local families. Now, after years being behind the scenes in city and state government, he's stepping up to run for a seat in the city council with a vision for a cleaner, safer, and more affordable Bronx. Joining me now is the candidate for City Council District 17, Justin Sanchez. And we were just talking a second ago. You said you're getting it, it's kicking into gear.
Yeah, so we launched this campaign back in March of last year. And now we are 4 weeks and 6 days till Election Day, and it feels like time has flown by.
Yeah.
So we were able to grow this tiny little campaign. I started off with just myself. Now we have a team of over 25 folks, most 99% of them black and brown, right here from the Bronx, born and raised from our community, and learning the ropes, understanding kind of like how I started. I started off as an intern on a campaign back as a sophomore in high school. Actually went down the block right here at Bronx Science.
Okay.
And from there was able to grow to where we are today, and I'm making sure that as I rise, I'm bringing the rest of the community along with.
So what was the deciding factor for you? Because you said behind the scenes, right? You're behind the scenes, and now you want to step up and take the big seat, if you will. What was the difference maker for you?
So we've seen our community, being born and raised here, you've seen the community go through its ups and go through its downs. And you always wonder, like, why are there no trash cans on our street corners? What's going on? So I learned all this stuff behind the scenes, and I realized right here in my community, government's not working for us. Our city services are not working for us. Everyone kind of feels just left behind. So what's the missing piece? Well, what about young folks that actually have the experience, that know what's missing and know how we can bring it forward and really help bring our community from some struggle into some light? And, I was seeing how the race was shaping up and what people were talking about, and I realized there's not a lot of folks with real experience jumping into this race. There's not a lot of folks that have a vision, a pathway that are jumping into this race. And so if not anyone else, who else?
Yeah.
So might as well jump in and, say what I have to say for the community, and then on Election Day, the community can decide.
One of the things that you do talk about is the fact that city services aren't as accessible as they need to be. How do you diagnose that problem and and your solution to it?
Well, we see it from every day when we're walking to our trains to go to work, when we're hopping on the bus. Our MTA is not running. We have folks dealing with substance use disorder all over our streets that we see every single day, and it feels like it's always constantly getting worse, not better. We had trash cans, and yes, we had COVID and things happened, but we are now 5 years past COVID, and we still don't have trash cans anymore in our streets. And so our trees have become trash pits, and we see this every single day when we're waking up, and you realize, what's the missing link? What's happening? And what it is our city services are supposed to be there to actually do those things. Your city council member is responsible for making sure your trash is being picked up. Your city council is responsible for making sure that, you're working with your state officials to make sure your MTA is running, it's getting the proper funding. But right now, we don't really see, especially in our community, our city councilor really, addressing those issues head on.
Yeah. Public safety is also another challenge, right?
Oh, yeah.
And really dealing with the issue of police and quality of life. Everybody in New York City is talking about quality of life. It's going to be a major issue, of course, for all mayoral candidates. How do you see this working out in your district, particularly when it comes to public safety?
I think public safety is top of mind for everyone, and you see it at something very basic and very little. I've knocked on over 60,000 doors since we started this campaign, and I come from a time where you used to be able to knock doors until 9 p.m. That's still the legal law to knock at 9 p.m. If I go to knock on a door now past 8 o'clock, there's a problem. It's just people don't feel safe. People don't want to open their doors, even when you're talking to them about community resources, even when you're talking to them about different things. So you're seeing on the ground folks are not feeling safe. But then our kids are walking home from school, are riding scooters by, like Yvette Jeffrey, and getting shot in the head. And that's not a community that I grew up in. My parents were worried that my sneakers were going to get robbed on the trains. That was the extent. It wasn't that I was going to get shot.
Right.
But look at where we are, and now how do we get back to a place where our community feels safe? Well, we need to do a couple of different things. One, we need to make sure that in addition to policing our streets, we need to bring more after-school programs. We need to give kids opportunities and things to do, find ways to express themselves, and it's not just, hanging out online or with their friends. And I'm from back in the day where we had computer cafes growing up because our parents couldn't be on the phone while we were playing on the computer. So what should we be doing if kids want to be online, as you were talking about in the last segment? If kids want to be online, why aren't we reopening computer cafes? Get kids to be in community with one another, actually hang out, play video games with your friends on the block, get to know people. How many folks know their neighbors anymore? And it's all this constant dividing us from community. And the only way we get stronger and able to actually protect one another and really create that is by rebuilding those community bonds. And that happens when government starts showing that, hey, we're here, we're working for you, going right to your door. I think a lot of times folks want government wants folks to come to them, but in reality, government officials, we're supposed to be public servants.
Right.
But I have not seen a lot of serving the public recently, and so we have to go to them.
I got to get in this area here. I can't talk about schools. Got to bring you back another time to talk about that because that would take us forever, right? But I do want to talk about affordable housing.
Yeah.
Because that is a big thing that we're hearing from a lot of people in your area. I've interviewed, residents in your area who say, listen, this is a big crisis. It's not just a citywide crisis, but it's a crisis that we really feel here in the district. How do you propose dealing with the affordable housing issue?
So there are a few things. One, I think we absolutely need a rent freeze on our rent stabilized housing, but not everyone lives in rent stabilized housing. Most people live in market rate housing. Most people live in these issues. But right now, you can go on Housing Connect, and I know you've heard a lot about Housing Connect, but no one is moving to Simpson Ave making $150,000 a year for a studio apartment. So who are they building that housing for? So I've helped create a brand new plan where we build housing. Right now it's based off of an AMI model, the area medium income, but the area medium income takes in not only all of New York City, but also Westchester and Putnam counties, and says the middle average of all of those incomes is your area medium income. So what I've decided is, hey, why don't we go a step further? I call it the CMI model, the community medium income. And so we work with our state and local officials to actually build housing based on the community actual income, either from your city council district or your community board district, depending on where you can get agreement from the city and state officials. I can't do everything alone. You need to work in partnership and making sure that you have those partnerships in order to actually deliver for people.
Do you feel as though we're just in a situation where there's so many vacant houses and apartments and buildings, we could be putting people in them right now?
You can, but a lot of those buildings, it's like, yes, there are vacant houses, there are vacant buildings, but a lot of them are unsafe for folks to live in. And the problem is that, property owners don't have the money to actually invest to rebuild that housing. And at the same time, I don't want our families living in housing that has asbestos, that has lead, because there's one thing to not have a roof over your head. There's another thing to not have a roof, to then have a roof over your head and then have a whole list of medical problems that, what are you supposed to do?
Well, I'll reframe and say that the one thing I look at sometimes, I see a lot of new housing that goes with, it's unoccupied. And that's really where I was leading to, not the vacant. The vacant, of course, we know derelict, we don't want to put anybody in bad conditions, but there's a challenge right now with new housing that's being constructed, and we're finding that a lot of people can't move in because they can't afford it, right?
Absolutely, and it's because a lot of the housing is either built for folks that make too much money or make way too little money, and all the people in the middle get left out. So that's why we need to change the way that we're doing our models and our systems so that we're actually targeting the folks that need housing. And the majority of folks that need housing fall into that middle bracket that no one is really paying attention to. Why? Because folks are saying, hey, well, we can't build that because we won't be able to pay for it. But then government is not coming in and saying, like, hey, these are incentives that we can get to make sure that the people that need housing actually need housing. Again, it goes back to who is government actually working for? Yeah. And at this moment, government is not really working for working folks. And so that's what we're trying to change and make sure that we're putting government officials in place that actually understand us and that know why they're there.
We're trying to see if there will be a change in District 17. Thank you so much, Justice Sanchez, for being with us. Best wishes, and of course, we'll have you back here soon.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate
All right,
it.
Listen. Now, if you want more information, go ahead and visit the website, Sanchez2025.nyc. There you can find out more information about Justice's campaign and his vision. Don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.